Hey everyone, and welcome back to a surprise video, the return of the Lich King. Well, being real with you, it's not like he's been gone for that long. He was very active during Legion, and of course with us paying him a visit in battle for Azeroth. Indeed, all of that had led to much speculation, with it being clear that the Lich King's patch 7.0 reintroduction would be paving the way for a future story. Well, today we are seeing the next steps there. And by the way, if you're interested in the obvious elephant in the room here, do be sure to watch yesterday's video, which covers that in a lot of detail. Okay, patch 8.3's data mining has been, I'd say, absolutely wild thus far, dropping more lore reveals than we can really keep up with. Now, the first major discovery here, of course credit to Wowhead, was that the allied race Death Knight textures had been found. Now, you might just be thinking, oh, that's just a fan-requested feature, but there's far more to it. So allied races can't be Death Knights right now because of lore reasons. The Death Knights of Azeroth were risen and were robbed of their free will by the Arthas Lich King, only to be freed by Tyrion, then of course that sparking off an alliance between the Ebon Blade and the Argent Dawn. But past that though, people aren't making Death Knights in the current day, well, you know, bar the Four Horsemen in Legion. Now that's why I say the Pandaren couldn't be Death Knights. So for there to be an allied race Death Knight, that means that somebody's got to be creating them. Who? Well, I think it's rather clear, the Lich King. Why do I say that? Well, because Wowhead also found an encrypted Lich King sound file. Now, here's the deal. Blizz only encrypt important stuff, like the 8.2.5 cinematics or, say, promotional mounts. So that means that for them to encrypt this shows that it's a pretty darn major reveal, one that maybe if we got it now, would color our perception of the future. Indeed, if it's tied into, say, a BlizzCon announcement, then getting an early glimpse would steal their thunder. And this absolutely is a major concern for Blizz across the board. Patch 8.3 will release after BlizzCon, but it will be in testing before BlizzCon. And of course, BlizzCon will be an expansion announcement, so it's a tricky position for them to be in. Now, more on that sound file in a bit, but the first thing I'd like to talk about is, well, this. Death Knight, Lightforged Draenei. That's a bit wild. I've got to wonder how the process works, especially because it would not be like somebody being a paladin in life and a Death Knight in death. The Lightforged have had their bodies infused with the light's essence, like all the tattoos, the stuff that's going on with them. If you actually read into the lore, it can be an extremely painful process. Now, what does that make me think of? Who does it make me think of? Well, obviously Kalia Menethil, our new light-created undead who will likely lead the Forsaken. Of course, who's Kalia's brother? Arthas. So I've got to wonder if Blizzard are going to acknowledge that becoming a Death Knight for a Lightforged would be a really hardcore experience. Now, this is not all in terms of Lich King references. So we've got Talia, right? She was a new character introduced in Legion. She is the daughter of Bolvar. She's actually aware of her parentage, but she's not ultimately aware of Bolvar's fate. Now, Anduin and Jaina had previously talked about keeping it a secret from her. After all, Bolvar did command everybody to say that the Lich King had died and that Bolvar had died with him. Now, as much as we're going to be taking that literally, I think it is also worth bringing up the double meaning there. I'm fairly sure that, well, Bolvar, as we knew him, is dead, being merged with the Lich King, you know, sitting atop the frozen throne, and the Helm of Damnation that even shows him visions that he admits he can't really understand. Well, that changes people. I mean, Bolvar commanded his Death Knights to steal Tyrion's corpse in order to raise him as a Death Knight. That's not something that regular Bolvar would do, so when he says that Bolvar Fordragon died with him, well, I think there's a good degree of truth there. Now, going back to 8.3, at a point after the conclusion of the Ny'alotha events, Jaina and Anduin are talking about the future and their desire to bring justice to Sylvanas. However, Anduin notices a messenger from Kul'Tiras, and he proceeds to ask Jaina about it. So Jaina reveals that it was a letter from a certain eager cadet asking to see Stormwind and learn more of her father. So it's obviously Talia. Now, Anduin says that, just to tell her that it's not a good time for visitors. That's kind of interesting because Jaina actually thinks that she should hear the truth, but then Anduin reminds her of the secret that they swore to keep. Still, Jaina does respect his authority and says that it is Anduin's call. Now, this is very interesting. Clearly, Anduin is kicking the can down the road here because earlier in BFA, he actually told her that when time permits, she could come to Stormwind and that he would share stories about her father. Hell, I mean, this would be much to the chagrin of the Randuin campaigners, but a lot of people have been speculating about the two of them becoming a thing, and that would be in line with, well, patch 8.3, which seems to be a patch where, everyone's getting some. I'd say who, but I do like to keep these patch lore videos very, very confined to the title topic, so that somebody, say, doesn't click on a Lich King video only to have maybe the end of Ny'alotha be spoiled. So anyway, we've got this talk of Bolvar and Talia. We've got allied race Death Knights. We've got encrypted voice files. Death sure is important to World of Warcraft. I think we need to go back, though, to the vol'jin questline of Battle for Azeroth, because just before we travel to Icecrown, Bomsamdi says this: "It be more than a pretty throne, it be an anchor that holds this world to the next." So, yeah, clearly it's a gateway to the Shadowlands, or something to that effect. Now, we know that Sylvanas wants everything to serve death. Now, we don't know if she's referring to a particular death entity, or death itself, or that she just wants to master death, but either way, the Lich King is not a fan of her, saying that she pretty much upsets the balance. Now, given that Blizzard are setting this up, just before the next expansion, comes out, I think it's highly possible that this could be a feature in it. Now, if we were going to the Shadowlands, which I think I think that's a given, right? Based on all the lore we've got thus far, and where we last left off with vol'jin, then the Frozen Throne is clearly going to be important, with it being an anchor between worlds. Now, what form the Shadowlands stuff could take, we don't know right now. Could it be an expansion? Yeah. Could it just be a B-plot? Yeah, that's also possible. Either way, though, we need to talk about the character of the Lich King. Now, I already mentioned the Tyrion situation from the Legion campaign, but there is more, because in patch 7.2, he sends the Death Lord off in search of something powerful, and this leads you to the Ruby Sanctum, where the Lich King says that you can either kill the dragons there or spare them, and if you kill the dragons, he says that you are empty inside, just like he is. Now, what happens next is a bit more spooky, because you make your way to where the red dragon that you're about to raise up is lying, only for you to come upon Feral Scourge. Now, the Lich King threatens you here. He says that if you win against the Feral Scourge, yeah, you can claim the dragon, but if you fail, that he will claim Arcturus, noting that he has plans for the Citadel. Again, pretty spooky. Then finally in BFA, he informed vol'jin that vol'jin was neither damned nor was he undead, and that he did not belong in the Frozen Throne. Then Aer even said that vol'jin had been touched by the Hand of Valor, so as you can see, yet more mysteries here with these death characters and with the Lich King's motivations. I think, as you can see here, the Lich King is cold, but I don't think he's evil. I think he knows his place in the world and essentially doesn't have emotions. He informs vol'jin that his domain is not right for him. He threatens the Death Lord, but he doesn't seem to be anti-Azeroth. He doesn't approve of Sylvanas, thinking that she upsets the balance of things. So I think this clearly means that his duty is to preserve a sort of balance. But that basically to do that, he's going to be pragmatic and emotionless. You'd think the Death Lord would be important to him, but no, he was like, well, if you die, I'm just going to take Arcturus, and I've got plans for it. Now, there could be one thing that could change him, though, and that's Talia. Now, the reason why here is that this could be playing into an aspect of Arthas that we didn't see, even though so many characters wanted it to happen. They wanted a bit of the old Arthas to break through and fight back, and we sort of saw that happen after his defeat. Now, in this case, I would wonder if her journeying to the Frozen Throne and confronting her father would change him. If that happens, I think his reaction would really define the lore, because it could go really badly, right? She could get killed, raised up as a Death Knight, something like that. It could, though, go well. It could warm the heart of the Lich King, maybe to the degree where it would increase the influence that Bolvar's old personality and attachments actually have on the new Lich King persona. Now, do remember here that Arthas merged with the Lich King in year 22 and emerged in year 27. That was a 5-year melt. Bolvar took up the crown during year 27. We currently believe that Legion ended on year 33, so probably BFA is year 34. And then around year 33, we saw Bolvar Lich King be a lot more active in the story. Technically, though, he's 2 years late when it comes to actually standing up off his throne and doing things. So, could all this tie into an expansion? Well, I think that vol'jin is going to be a Zeratul-like character if you're a StarCraft fan. When we last left him, he was beginning a quest for knowledge into the Shadowlands with the goal of working out who had interfered with his soul and who had influenced him to name Sylvanas as the war chief. So, he's likely going to spark off being the harbinger of something, right? He's going to have major lore drops for him. He'll probably be the herald of an upcoming crisis, crisis, likely one to do with the Shadowlands. We'll probably then see Blizzard cash in on the current hunt for Sylvanas, and then with, just all that we've established so far with the Shadowlands, which I've talked about in other videos. So, is this the next expansion? To be honest with you, I've got no idea, right? It certainly could be, right? It would not be surprising given how much Blizzard have teased during BFA, how heavily they've teased it. I think we'd likely see the Lich King be an allied character in that he's going to want the best for Azeroth, I think, but he's going to be inherently untrustworthy to us because, he won't really be at his core emotionally driven. He's not going to respect things like life as much, I suspect. I think Talia will be a major character, vol'jin will be a major character, and the various related Shadowlands entities will also be major characters. That's the like of Aegir, Bomsamdi, maybe even Odin, probably like Muzala, maybe even Hakar. Now, I'm going to leave you with some tidbits here, right? This is really fun. Neither Ner'zhul nor Arthas fully unleashed the undead. And that was confirmed by Chris Metzen ages ago, and Chris even said that we should speculate as to why. Now, of course, Chronicle later did suggest that it could have been that they were aware of the existential threats to the planet and planned to use the undead, sort of in that capacity, but still a bit of a spooky thing. And I've got another tidbit for you, because whenever Bolvar put the crown on his head, Blizzard played the main part of Yogg-Saron's theme, and Blizzard later said that there was a deeper connection there between those two characters, but that they did not do it justice in-game. So, with what I've teased you with, I'll now take my leave, but, well, let's just play the clip. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.